Well, yesterday, Cam Newton meeting with reporters, addressing the question of whether he's been told he'll be the starter week 1. Let's have a listen to what Cam Newton had to say.
Cam, has Bill told you yet that you're starting the season opener? Gotta ask.
And you know the answer to that question. So
I don't. Has he said you are, or does he just say we're taking it day to day? I mean, honestly. He said it back then, but he's kind of had a ...
I mean, y'all sit up here asking silly questions to me, and I'm looking at y'all with the same thing. So I don't know what y'all want me to say. No, you know that. You know he hasn't said that. So for you to just ask the question, it is what it is. So every single day I'm coming out here with the anticipation to just get better, and that's the only thing that I could do. So I can control that. But as far as somebody else's analogy or interpretation of what week 1 is, I'm trying to focus on what tomorrow brings and even the adjustments for tonight's meeting. So.
It's not really the question or the answer you expect from the guy who knows he's the starter. And a little frustration, a little irritation, maybe a little manifestation of the broader circumstance where he re-signed with the Patriots, and then they surprise a lot of people when they make Mac Jones the 15th overall selection in the draft. And now the perception/reality that Jones is quickly gaining ground on Cam Newton, that Jones runs the offense the way they want it to be run without taking too long to make decisions. Maybe Cam feeling a little heat there. And I think he understands that no matter what your status is today,
exactly,
it's always subject to change tomorrow.
I think that's the big thing. That's the New England way. Like, first off, I don't know if Cam maybe he didn't even realize Bill Belichick had made that comment early on in training camp. Either way, like, he knows through the New England way here in year 2 that it doesn't really matter what he said 2-3 weeks ago anyways. It's going to be evaluated on a day-to-day process. And right now, yeah, I'm sure, he's getting the number 1 reps, but like, that's just not the way things work with New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. I got to experience it, whether it was there or with Josh Daniel and the Denver Broncos when he was the head coach. They're not the type of group that's going around going, hey, you're a starter, you're the starter, you're the starter. Yeah, I mean, Stephon Gilmore knows he's starting. Matt Judon knows they're starting. But the guys who are legitimately in, like, competition and it's not clear-cut, who is the starting guy, and wait, this guy gets some 1 reps and this guy gets other 1 reps. They don't talk about it. It's just like, we're going to evaluate you every day. Go out there, practice, let's see what you got, and if you do well, maybe you'll start the period tomorrow in practice. If not, maybe the other guy will. And it's just such a business-like approach that there's no conversations like that in that building, or at least very rarely that I've ever heard of.
I have kicked around in the past the possibility, slim as it may be, that quarterback will be a week-to-week determination based upon the game plan that is determined to be the most strategically advantageous to overcome the defense they're going to be facing. So 1 week it could be Cam, the next week it could be Cam, then it could be Mac Jones, then it could be Mac Jones for 2 more games, then it's Cam again, like they do with running backs.
Sure.
The counter to that is you need your quarterback to kind of be the leader of your team, and they've loved the leadership abilities of Cam Newton. But, I mean, if anyone could pull it off with minimal criticism, not that he cares about the criticism, but if anyone could pull this off 1 week at a time, day to day, we're on to Cincinnati, and you make a new decision every week as to who your quarterback's going to be, it's Bill Belichick.
No question about that. I mean, Belichick with McDaniels, hey, you say what you want about Josh McDaniels as a head coach or whatever. I know it hasn't been perfect along those lines, but offensive coordinators, definitely one of the best offensive minds, one of the best we've seen in 15 years. So you're right. Like, hey, listen, if there's a couple that could do that, it would be them. It would just be, I think earth-shattering if it did happen because of, like, what you talked about. They're so into the framing of the football team through the quarterback and having that guy be the leader of the offense and a huge presence in the locker room and all those type of things. It's really a core belief that I saw many, many times there. And, I think that's where I guess I just got to see that to believe it. That's really what it comes down to. And, hey, like, Mike, I mean, you said it, Mac Jones, we all hear the reports. He's doing better and better. We know. I mean, in the pocket, going through reads and things like that, hey, he's special. He's like a 60-year veteran as far as that comes. So he's probably not far off or every bit as equal as Cam Newton in that department. To me, where it really comes down to a big decision for the Patriots is what style of football do they want to play, Mike? That's where they really got to decide it. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about with the week-to-week game plan. I don't see that happening. But, of course, I think if Cam Newton's a starter, it's going to be a short leash and things like that. But I think really the big thing is they just got to figure out the style of attack they want to do. And is that Mac Jones and what we're seeing right now, which is AKA the old Tom Brady, I'm going to pick you apart with my brains and accuracy? Or are they going to want to go, wait, we got this offensive line that's special and a running back that's damn good and a quarterback that can do that, where we could smash mouth football and play that style too? That, to me, is the million-dollar question as far as what avenue do they want to take for the 2021 Patriots.
And I think another aspect of this, although I know that Bill Belichick focuses on each specific year as its own entity, that's just one of the reasons why he's so great. But at the same time, we got one guy who's under contract for 4 years with a fifth-year option. We got another guy who we've signed to 2 one-year contracts. We don't know what the future is going to be with him. To the extent there's a future to think about, you have it with Mac Jones. You're building towards something, and you know that maybe if you accept that he's not going to be exactly where you want right out of the gates as a rookie, but the experience as a rookie is going to make him better next year when he'll be there, better the year after that when he'll be there. There's something to be said for that, too, that he's the guy who has bought the house and Cam is still renting. I think that's got to be a factor in this.
I think so, but I think it could be a factor going either way. You're right. I mean, you could take the approach of going like, hey, let's get him out there. He's the future. Let's get him experience and let him play. But we could also be, the opposite thought. First off, we know New England's reluctant to play young players and do that, where they could go, wait, we know we got this guy for the next 4 years after this. We don't need to rush this. The Cam Newton thing, on the other hand, he's played in some big-time football games, a little bit more experience. The way the team's built can and does fit him and his style of football, to where they could also just argue, hey, let's put him on the back burner. Or just, let him grow as a backup and do those type of things. And then, hey, listen, like I said, if Cam falls apart, then this is a guy that will be ready off the bench, even though as a rookie, where he'll be able to do some good things and certainly keep your team in some good spots.
2 preseason games left this year. What do you need to see from Cam to make you think he's the guy ready to go week 1 and then prove it 1 week at a time that he is the better option for this season?
Right. I don't think we're going to get to see the full capacity of Cam Newton in the preseason, right, Mike? Like, I have a hard time thinking they're going to do the old play we saw last year, right, where, Cam Newton keeps the ball and they pull the guard and the running back, the fullback and the tailback lead him up through the hole and do those type of things, right? I don't think we're going to see that aspect. But what I need to see is this type of stuff. This is where he's got to grow. Dropping back as a passer, executing the offense within the pocket. That was where it was less than at times last year. Whether it was, holding the ball too long and sacks, not throwing the appropriate ball, as you see right there on a screen pass. I mean, listen, I know somebody was there, but he gives them no chance. That, to me, is the big thing. Because we know we can run the ball and they can design those type of things. But where they faltered last year is when they got in games where they couldn't run the ball and dominate that way. Their pass game was not good enough to keep them competitive or win the football game. And that's, to me, the thing I'll have my eye on with Cam Newton these next 2 weeks.
I think the fundamental tension is the offense the way that they've run it for years.
Right.
Versus the offense that can be run with Cam there. And they were in the process last year of pivoting toward that style of offense.
Yes.
The Tim Tebow offense that Josh McDaniels had constructed in Denver after he made Tebow a first-round pick in 2010, never actually used it because he got fired before Tebow played in 2011. But the idea that we're embracing a skill set that can allow us to do a lot of different things versus now we have a guy that we deliberately went out and scouted and drafted because we think he can do the things that the old guy did. That's That's I think, the tension here.
I think so, too.
Philosophically. It's the two playbook tension, too,
Right.
and that's something they didn't have for 20 years when Brady was the starter.
Yeah, no doubt. No, there's no doubt. I mean, I think, what we're, it's funny as you're talking there, it kind of just popped in my, like, what we're talking about here is like, hey, yeah, Cam Newton, he plays. You're going to get a New England Patriots style of football that won the first 2 Super Bowls there in the early 2000s. Run the ball. Be a little conservative in the pass game and push the envelope when you have to. And our defense is really good, and we'll play that way. But like what you're saying, too, is with Mac Jones, if he keeps coming along the way you hear and everything keeps looking good, they could look at it and go like, wait, well, we could switch to the 2007 New England version and just put pressure on everybody, throwing the football and doing those type of things. You know what I'm saying with the Brady and the shotgun era when that started, where they could go, we could put pressure on people by just executing and having all these great, schematics in the game, in the pass game, and all those things, and pick people apart. They just got to determine whether they think Mac Jones is ready to do that at a really high level and attack that way and can do that. They do know Cam can play that other way and do some successful things. And now with a year off and more talent around him, I would think they're expecting, even better results than they got last year.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.